¿Qué tal a todos? Gracias. Es un placer tener al congresista demócrata Joaquín Castro que ha acompañado a nuestra comunidad ecuatoriana, a Liam, a su padre, en este periplo que todos conocemos de estas semanas. Thank you, Congressman Joaquín Castro. Thanks for being here with us in our program en Lunes a Lunes in Teleamazonas for All Ecuador. Thank you so much.
Yeah, great to be with you.
You accompany all the process of Liam. You were in the detention center in Texas, but then you were also in the best part to have to travel him to his home. How was their mood during the flight? What did they felt during the airplane once they were in their home, in their house? Do you remember something special that they told you, something that catch your breath or your heart?
I had a chance to visit Liam and his father at the detention center last Wednesday. And in the photograph that many people have seen, he didn't look very good. He was very tired, very sleepy, and didn't have a lot of energy. And his dad said that he was not eating very well and that he missed his mom and his classmates. But he was very different when he came out of the detention center. I picked him up around 7 o'clock that night. And unfortunately, these places are like prisons. And so everything that you came in with, when you leave, they give you back all of those things. So he had the clothes that he came in with. They gave him back his backpack and his hat, fortunately. And we got in the car. And I asked him if there was something that he wanted to eat or something he wanted to do before we went back to San Antonio for the flight the next day. And he said that he wanted McDonald's and he wanted French fries. And so we drove up the road and got some McDonald's, a Happy Meal. And we found him, I got him a place to stay, he and his father together for the night at the home of some friends. And then at about 4:30 in the morning, I picked them up to go to the flight from San Antonio to Minneapolis. And so he was in good spirits. I told him that everybody around the world had been praying for him and had sent their love and had reached out, wanting to make sure that he was going to be okay.
Thanks for telling us this story because you've been very near the Ecuadorian community, not only in the States, but here in Ecuador. We really appreciate what you've done for Liam, his family, and also for the Ecuadorian community. From what you've done and from what you've seen, that you were in Minnesota, you had the chance to talk to other Ecuadorians. What do they fear? What do they feel about what's happening, especially in Minneapolis?
I did meet a few other families, Ecuadorian families, and they were all, traumatized in a way because this is like a trailer prison and there's 12 people living in each room, multiple families, and their movements are controlled. There's cameras. They can only visit with certain, family members during the day. There's a 2-month-old baby, for example. I'm not sure what nationality, but a 2-month-old baby is being kept there. And so the kids are very affected by this, and many of them are depressed. And then I met some Ecuadorians, but I also met some Venezuelans, for example, who were going to be deported, and they were told that they were going to be sent to Ecuador. And so one lady was crying and sobbing because she was there with her kids and she said, "We've never been to Ecuador. I don't know what I'm going to do in Ecuador." So unfortunately, you have people from Venezuela and some other countries that are being sent to completely different countries that they've never been to before. So that was a big issue as well.
So tough, Congressman, because Liam's case, would you say it's an isolated case? You're telling me, and what I hear is the answer is no. But do you know of more children or a number of children, do you know exactly being caught in aggressive immigration enforcement?
Unfortunately, President Trump has been very aggressive against the Latino community in the United States. The federal government, ICE, has targeted people who are speaking Spanish or who speak English with an accent. They have been going door to door sometimes in places like Minneapolis, from store to store, looking for workers that they want to question their citizenship. And so, yeah, there's been a lot of fear and a lot of anxiety out there among the Latino community, including the Ecuadorian American community.
Will you say ICE is operating today and we are still talking about immigration policy? Are we still talking about a policy of the government, or are we crossing into something else and we're calling it racial profiling, xenophobia, or discrimination against migrants? Is what is happening?
It's a few things. There's definitely a lot of racism and a lot of anti-Latino sentiment and anti-immigrant sentiment, unfortunately. And we've gone through these periods in the United States before. My grandmother came to the United States from Mexico when she was 6 or 7 years old as an orphan, and she lived through periods in the United States where they did exactly this. They took people who were even US citizens and they deported them to Mexico. And so we've seen this before, and unfortunately, President Trump is trying to take us back in time.
Are you personally committed to take more cases like this? Why did you take Liam's cases? And are you personally committed to take other cases?
Yeah, we're going to keep going. Donald Trump said that he was only going to go after criminals. And instead, he's put hardworking men and women and their children in these jails, in these prisons. At the Dilley facility where Liam is, there isn't a single person there who's committed a crime. If you've committed a crime, they don't send you there. So 1,100 people who've committed no crime are in prison because this president has decided that he's going to pursue a mass deportation policy. So we're going to keep fighting for these people who are innocent people, some of whom have lived in the United States for years and years. And all of a sudden, even though they've been hardworking, productive people, now they find themselves in a jail in rural Texas.
Why did you decided to take Liam's case?
I think just like everybody in the United States and around the world, I was very touched and moved by his story and his case, and with the cap and the Spider-Man backpack and everything. Dilley is only about an hour from where I live. And so I knew that, I could get over there and I could try to make a difference. And I wish that Liam was the only one who was in that situation. But like I said, there's a 2-month-old baby who's been there many days. There's other children. There is a 13-year-old girl who has tried to harm herself. There is a mother that's got 2 sons. And one of them is turning 18 tomorrow. And when you turn 18, they don't let you stay in that facility anymore. So they move you out. So she's fearful that she's going to get separated from her older son. So there's a lot of stories like this of people that are very desperate. There was a little Egyptian girl, probably about 3 years old, who kept coming up to me and hugging my leg and begging us to get her out of there. And so a lot of desperation all around.
Oh my God, Congressman, so what happened to the American dream?
Well, I think the American dream is still there. I think that hopefully I wrote a note to Liam and I said that I hope that when he thinks about America, that he won't judge America by his ugly experience in Dilley for those 11 days, but by the millions of Americans who wanted to do every single thing they could to help. And I hope that he'll look back on that period as a short period in time that was ugly and awful, of course, but that it passed. And I hope for the United States, we can look back on this period in time as an ugly period in our history, but we will have passed it as well. And that we are a land of opportunity. We are a nation that was built upon the work and the strength of immigrants. And I think that we'll continue to be that in the years to come.
You've joined calls demanding accountability from Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. Do you support her resignation? You're calling for her resignation or even an impeachment proceeding?
Kristi Noem was never qualified for this job. She never deserved to be Secretary of Homeland Security. She didn't have the background or the expertise, and her tenure there has been a disaster. So she should either be fired, resign, or be impeached. And I signed on to the impeachment resolution last week or the week before.
And what is going to happen with that? Do you know what is the procedure?
I know that we have, I want to say at least 150 Democrats, and that list continues to grow. There are Republicans who have deep concerns about her, but they don't want to embarrass President Trump by signing on to that impeachment resolution. So perhaps that pressure will lead her to resign or be fired.
Congressman Joaquín Castro, thanks for being with us. It's been a pleasure. Thanks again for what you've done for the Ecuadorian community, for Liam, and in Ecuador, we are very grateful. Thanks a lot again.
Thank you.